brushes?
Oh, yeah, she's gorgeous. She's so cool.
All right. So, all right, let's get this thing started here.
It's time for a little Funky Friday. From their funky hidden headquarters, your hosts, Keith and Gary. Not Jerry.
And of course, Keith can't be here today because he is at a convention by one of our closest friends. And he tried to broadcast her, but connection is terrible from the convention. It's just terrible.
From Mendicon's Wi-Fi is garbage.
Yes, it is. It is quite terrible, yeah.
I shall never forget that stream where we tried to keep it alive until you came back, only you didn't come back, and we were talking for 5 hours. That was...
Well, I could have come back. The true story is I could have come back, but Keith and I were having so much fun with the people at the convention. But that's why I don't go anymore, because it impacts the show. And so I don't get to go have fun. That's Keith's thing. They invited me. They wanted me to be there. They wanted me to do some speaking engagements. And I'm like, I'm not going. The show's too important. So we're here today to talk about and celebrate one of my favorite shows of all time. This show is like, God, it means so much to me. Because I can't tell people just how big a fan of Phil Hartman I am. And he was just one of those guys I just keyed into the minute I saw him in movies. Because he was in movies before he was on Saturday Night Live. So I already knew who he was when he was on SNL, thanks to Pee Wee Herman. Yes, I read that earlier. So Candy Alexander was absolutely gorgeous. She's gorgeous in everything, but she's so underutilized on this show. And I almost felt like, well, I know she suffered on this show because they didn't know how to write her character very well. And so she was really limited, and it led to her sadly quitting in season 4, which is the last season for Phil Hartman too, because he died, was murdered after that season, and it broke everybody's heart. It really did. It broke my heart. I always bring this up when it's pertinent, and here it is again. It's pertinent for a reason. I created the Blade Runner fan club, and the only time BladeZone.com was ever down was the week Phil Hartman died. And all that was up was a black screen when you went to the Blade Runner website that said, in memoriam of Phil Hartman. And I put his birth date and his death date. And that's all that was there. And I just shut the website down for a whole week. And just a devastating loss when he was gone. And the show suffered to it. But here's the thing that pissed everybody off back in the 90s. There was an internet. The internet did exist when this happened. And there was a big uproar when NBC canceled News Radio and went with signing Third Rock from the Sun for another season. Was News Radio, even with the loss of Candy and Phil Hartman, was still kicking every other show's butt on NBC for viewership. There was barely a dip. And the reason it got canceled was they saw more value in renewing Third Rock from the Sun than News Radio because they knew they would have to pay the cast more. And that's why the show got canceled. Greed. They did not want to have to pay Dave Foley and the rest of the cast more money because they're gonna have to negotiate new contracts. And this happens when you go to season 5 so often, and that can spell death for a TV show. Candy's last episode was one of the funniest things they ever did. Now, I don't want to talk about it yet because Anima hasn't seen that one, but I will just let you know that both Bill McNeil and Joe are trying to go to bed with her. And she is messing with them. And it's just such a great episode.
Yeah, don't spoil anything. I just started season 4.
Stop. I just said I wasn't going to. You don't have to tell me.
Well, how often do you say no spoilers and then you go right on spoiler? I'm just making sure.
It's not my fault you're not there yet. You can watch this show without me. I know you like watching it with me.
I do when I have time.
But all I got to say is because we got news radio fans listening, so I'm going to have to fucking talk about things you haven't seen yet.
I know.
You know? Would you like some cheese with that wine? Jesus Christ.
I haven't seen any of the shows, so I will be more spoiled than everybody else. So go ahead.
Well, you know, one of the best things that NBC ever did was withholding this show from Latin-speaking countries.
Motherfucker.
Now, I will tell you that the address, the Criterion building, isn't real. There is a real building. I found it. I found that on Google Earth. They've modified it. We do know what floor it is, but sadly, I can't find any virtual tours into that building where you can go into it from afar. But the building is still there. They changed the front of the building slightly. There's a little difference now. And but God, man, it's so cool to find the real place. And it's one of those places I plan to do a pilgrimage to one day. Walk in and ask, where's Dave? Where's Jimmy? Where's Jimmy James? I love that they gave him an alliteration name. J. Jonah Jameson, you know, Peter Parker. Yeah, classic comic book name, Jimmy James. So let's go over some of our favorite episodes. I guess let me go to IMDb real quick, and we can go over some because I think we absolutely do have some favorites and favorite moments. And I do know that I also have videos in here from News Radio that one of my favorites is in the other studio, which I bet you if I click on that other studio right now, it's going to change the background, isn't it?
Yeah, that is exactly what is going to happen.
Yeah, because nobody thought of going through another tab while I'm talking and making sure that was added there. So I'll go do it while I'm talking.
Yes, please.
Thanks, Pascal. I know that I'm not stupid, but I just started to watch it, and so
somebody else could look up the IMDb. You know, if I'm going to do this, somebody look up IMDb on the show so we can get some information on episode by episode. And you're welcome to talk while I'm doing this.
Okay. Hello, everybody.
I'm trying to think of favorite episodes.
I wouldn't know.
Telling me a show from the 90s has been out for years. Jesus Christ. I know that.
I love it when we're clashing with the audience.
Not clashing.
No, he's talking dead air, and I'm trying to do all this shit.
I'm trying to find a list of episodes so I can find out my favorites. Because right now just one comes to my mind, and that's the one where everybody daydreams because it gets so hot in the office. That's crazy. That must have been fun.
I used to watch this radio religiously back in the day. Granted, I was always high back then.
The
That's
90s.
a good show to watch when you're high. Yeah.
I was still in the military back when this show started, and I just found it to be such a relief of a show. I would unwind watching that damn show, and the next day I was in a great mood, and it was one of those water cooler things. I get to work, and Craig and I would talk about the episode, that episode that week, and my boss, my late boss, good friend of mine, but the pilot, one of the things I really like about the pilot is we find out that WNYX actually has 2 offices blocks apart. One is the corporate one for Jimmy James Incorporated. And Dave shows up for his first day, and he wants to get in there just on time. So he goes into the building, and he's talking to him, and he says, so it's on the 14th floor, right? And the guy says, yes, but if you're looking for the radio station, and that because that's the corporate office, the radio station is 2 blocks down. He's already late to his first day because he's wanting to get in there right on time. So he has to run 2 blocks to get to the office. That was one of my favorite moments. And Jimmy James messing with him when he gets in there. And Jimmy James immediately is such an established character, like right from the get-go, that he's out of his fucking mind.
Well, you learn pretty quickly that everybody but Dave.
Everybody but Dave is insane. Dave is the only sane person on the show. And the whole premise of the show is him dealing with all these insane people that he has to work with. And I love that. So Dave shows up and finds out that even though he's been hired as the new station manager, they haven't fired the previous one. So he's been put in a position of having to fire him. He's trying to work up the nerve. He's never done this before. It's his first real job as a news manager.
And he thinks it's the hardest one. And then he starts trying to manage that office. And the shit that's thrown at him is just crazy.
Yes, exactly, Cal. Dave is the straight man to all the insanity. And of course, Dave, fully came over. And it's funny that some of the characters have their real first names in this show.
I like
Joe
that.
has his real name, and so does Dave. Dave, the last names are different. And what's funny is that great gag that you get from Joe when you find out what his last name is, and they do it multiple times. They'll go, "That's really your last name?" But
they keep forgetting it.
Well, they just never know it. And by the way, in the pilot episode, it's not Joe. There's another guy. In fact, in the pilot episode originally, there was another actor in that part. Ray Romano was the original maintenance guy. And he went in, did his scenes, and thought he did really well. But he said, I felt a little, I felt like I was really swinging in there, but when I went home and really thought about it, I was like, oh man, I'm off. And he says, I got to work the next day and I got called in, and he's like, oh man, that's not good. When you get called in on the first day, and he's like, oh, he got fired. Sorry, man, you're just not working. So they brought this other guy in, and he kind of worked for them, but just wasn't, the audience didn't react to him. So they rushed to find a new guy, and they got Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan nailed that character. The maintenance guy who knows everything.
And doesn't know what he's doing half the time.
Has no idea what he's doing. And he went with that joke, and it's fucking great. It's hilarious.
It never gets boring.
it's like basically, if you really look at him, he is a maintenance guy who got all of his instruction from the Anarchist Cookbook. Because everything he does, when you think about it, it's like, that's how you build a bomb.
Oh, another episode just came to my mind for the favorites.
Dave Foley was Dave Nelson. Stephen Root, who I love Stephen Root. What a great actor. Jimmy James. Andy Dick played Matthew Brock. Probably one of the best characters on the show, even though he's a horrible human being. Maura Tierney plays Lisa Miller. Vicki Lewis plays Beth. I don't think we ever got her last name.
When that show ended, Maura Tierney went straight to ER, right?
Yes. NBC had a job for her. So Joe Rogan plays the character, and you find out, I think it's in season 2 when they say his name, and it says, don't forget to get on the elevator, Mr. Gorelli. And I think it's Bill that reacts to the first thing. Your last name is Gorelli? It's like, what? I wish it would have been Ray. Maybe we wouldn't have got Joe Rogan's podcast. I don't know. I think Joe Rogan nailed that character. He was perfect for it. Phil Hartman plays Bill. And a funny moment when Seinfeld made his cameo on the show, he calls him Phil, and Bill corrects him. It's Bill. And I thought that was hilarious. It was a moment of technically kind of breaking the fourth wall.
You think that was improv?
Phil. I think he did that on purpose. Yeah, I think that was something they worked out and did on this at the moment, because they were improvising constantly on the show. Because here's how they would shoot the show. The show was shot before a live audience, and what they would do is they would do a scene a certain way, and then the director would allow them to improvise. And the one that got the most laughs was the shot that would be in the show. And I love that they did it that way. I think that's smart.
Me too. That's awesome.
Show making. And John Lovitz actually appeared as 2 different characters on News Radio before stepping in to play Max Lewis in the fifth season. So he plays a crazy guy that wants to jump off a ledge, man on a ledge, and then he's the crazy guy when Bill McNeil tries to get out of a parking ticket and ends up running from the cops and gets institutionalized for 72 hours. And John Lovitz is the patient that's in there with him. And
he ends up liking it, being locked up. It's such a weird episode.
Patrick Warburton is Jimmy James's arch nemesis. That's a joke in the film or in the show. And let's see, Lauren Graham comes in 4th season as Andrea, the girl that's going to fire somebody, and we all know who that's going to be. What a great cast. Oh, David Cross's episode was great. You actually had Bob Odenkirk and David Cross in different episodes on this show. This show knew who the funny guys were, and so they would get them on there. Toby Huss was on there, another great comedic actor. He's a great Frank Sinatra impersonator. He and Tone Loc were the security guards for the radio station, and they would occasionally be on the show, and usually harassing Bill McNeil. And my favorite episode with them is when Bill left the station to go downstairs, and when he tries to go back up, they wouldn't let him go up. He needs an ID. Nobody else needs an ID, just him. Because they decided to fuck with him. Finally, he gets his ID, and he goes, "Oh, but this is an expired ID." And without looking at it, he just tears it up. He goes, "I don't need your..." And he goes, "Hey, man, I was just messing with you. The ID was fine." And he's like, "Oh, okay, guys." Tries to go by, and he goes, "No, seriously, you can't go upstairs unless you have an ID." And he tore it up. It's like, fuck, man, this show was great writing. It was zany. There was so
Yeah,
much
but that
high
episode
energy.
was kind of hard to watch because you felt so bad for him all the time, being fucked with like
Bill,
that.
Bill,
Yeah.
Bill got as a character. That was his karmic payback for all the shit he's done to like Matthew, even messing
Yeah,
with
but
Dave
still.
Foley. But Dave Foley's character, also called Dave Nelson, was smarter than Bill McNeil, and would end up getting over on his character. Oh,
But Bill was a
absolutely.
narcissist, so
Troy McClure. And I would love it when he would go on the radio and do his Troy McClure voice as the Bill McNeil radio voice. And I don't know what it is, man. Troy McClure and so many characters like Lionel Hutz, the lawyer, he did on Simpsons too. And a lot of people don't know this, that the captain, the spaceship captain on Futurama, but
Stop, Brannigan.
Zap Brannigan, that's it, Zap Brannigan, was originally supposed to be played by Phil Hartman. And so they ended up getting, what's his name, Billy West, to do his best Phil Hartman impression. So that's why, Zap Brannigan sounds kind of like Phil Hartman, as a nod to the great guy. And here's a little bit of trivia for you. Did you know that he came up as a graphic artist? He designed the logo for Poco, the rock band. He designed album covers and shit, logos. So when I found out about that, I was really enamored with him back in the early 90s. I'm like, this guy's like me. I love that. Sentai Ranger is here. Greetings. Who all is here right now? Let me get in here. I got to squint to read the small print. Of course, our buddy Cal is here, and D. Bud Martin, the hardest working wrench in the community. Tree Rock Creations is here. Dragon Ruse. Penny is here. Hi, Penny. Sentai Danger Donnie. And Real Wade Nation, our good buddy Wade, is here. So, welcome to the show. I invited a bunch of people. I don't know if it's been published yet or not, but I welcomed people from the News Radio fan group. So, if
I
anybody
posted in
shows
there
up, we don't
too a
know.
couple days ago that we're going to talk, and I tagged our podcast.
I don't think it's. I don't think they've approved it yet, so they're probably not going to approve the damn thing till the show's over. You watch. That's just how shit works. News Radio fan group. Let me just see.
I put it in.
It's not up yet.
Under one of the posts as a comment. So maybe, who knows?
We'll see.
But
I don't know.
they're usually slow to approve.
No, they usually approve my stuff pretty quick, but if they're away, they're away. Hartman was the man. His humor shaped my humor. I would say that he had an impact on my humor. My humor was shaped by Don Rickles and later by Norm Macdonald in the 80s. And because I loved that dry, sardonic wit. And Dave Foley in his own way, because watching Kids in the Hall, it was funny as shit to me. I love that one dude walking around. I'm squishing your head. I'm squishing your head. You're gonna talk to me. I'm squishing your head. Shut up. Shut up. And I tried to show that to Anima. That was a waste of time. I should never do that. I will never show Kids in the Hall to people who cannot understand bizarre humor. Because bizarre humor is hard enough. Then if English isn't your first language, you're going to have trouble with that kind of comedy, period.
I usually don't have problems because English is my second language. I have problems, especially with comedy, because it's relating heavily on stuff that's been going on in the US and still is, and I just don't know.
And that's not even an American show. That's not an American show.
Yeah, or English or whatever. Growing up in Austria, that's why I miss out on a lot of it. Yeah, Canadian.
Hartman, Bateman, we talked. Yeah, Bateman is another one. He didn't shape my humor, but I really dug him, man. I dug his real life attitude about things. He's always calm and collected. They tried to prank him once. That guy did not lose his cool. other people are trying to get him to lose his cool. He never loses his cool, and he's like, "No, don't worry about it, man. No, it's okay. It's okay." And that was on what was that show? Punked. That was it. Punked. They tried to get Jason Bateman, and Jason Bateman's just too calm and collected to be had. And I found that funny and endearing to find that guy is just that cool, calm, and collected in real life. Yeah, Jason Bateman is just the shit, and he will own a character when he does it. That character he plays, the herpes-ridden character he plays in, I almost said Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. What was that movie called? No, it was Smoking Aces. Is one of the funniest characters I've ever seen him play, and the comedy in that is dark. But yeah, he's a real person, and it's not surprising to know that talent runs in the family because I always thought his sister was a good actress. I just felt bad for her because she got typecast, and boy, she aged fast too. Holy crap! She showed up on something, and I'm like, "Who the fuck is that?" And I looked on the credits like, "Oh my god, she did not age well." Some people don't age well, but any other good comments? I'm looking to see. All right. So, Tone Loc was funny in that show. I thought he was a better actor than he was a rapper. I really did. Very limited. And I'm not a big fan of oversampling. And his stuff, the stuff I liked of his, like Funky Cold Medina and Wild Thing, they sampled from other songs and used way too much of the song in it to where it was obvious. And that bugged me. It's sort of like when Vanilla Ice did Ice Ice Baby. I was like, well, if you listen to it, I took an entire beat out of it. Fuck off, dude. That's Queen. You stole from them. Hey, Bush is here. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Bush.
So, okay. So going back to the episodes, let's get back to this. They did a total of 97 episodes. Should have been more. 5 seasons, and the 5th season was with John Lovitz, and of course missing Candy and Phil. I kind of wish they had talked Candy into coming back because I think the show wouldn't have limped along as like it did. Yeah, it's straight up Queen.
Yeah, I'm a bit anxious.
So the pilot
going into the 5th.
So in the pilot episode, finally Dave gets put in a position because the station manager says something rude to him, and he goes, "Well, then you're going to find this next part funny. You're fired." The next episode is inappropriate because you find out that Dave and Lisa are banging already. And Lisa is that one character that thinks she should be the station manager. And I love that she is into Dave, but resents him at the same time and thinks she's better than him. Hi, Deborah. Oh, happy birthday to him. Signing off to buy him a coffee. Yes, you go do that. And by the way, I want to point out that this was a show I shared with my dad. We would watch the episode on the phone together. And it was one of my fondest memories of my dad before he started losing his mind. And just laughing, chuckling about the show. And then we talk about the show afterward. With Nama. What is this?
They're talking about
What the fuck are you
sampling.
talking about, Bush?
They're talking about sampling
Oh.
in rap.
Okay. So, the smoking episode is my next favorite episode. When David says you got to stop smoking in the office, and then he proves, well, you got to have a designated spot and all that shit. But he says, I'll tell you what, if you give up smoking, I'll give up coffee. And he says, I don't think that's a fair trade. He goes, how many cups of coffee? I drink about 4 pots a day. He's like, oh, okay. So Dave gives up coffee, and Bill gives up smoking cigarettes. And of course, every single time he would light up, Matthew would start going coughing and making a scene about it. You got to make him quit. You got to make him quit. And
he's such a baby.
And it led to one of my
Matthew.
Yeah, and I have the clip here. I'm trying to find it real quick here. Get your sniveling. Here it is. That led to this funny moment when Matthew walks into the office with Bill and Dave, and they lose their shit on him, and it's funny as hell.
Dave. And Matthew, what is it now? For God's sake, no one's smoking, okay? But nothing! You know what we need around here is an anti-whining ordinance. So just sip your sniveling little lip and all your skinny
I don't think that qualifies as snapping, does it? No. I love that show so much. That's one of my favorite episodes.
I can understand a word said in that clip.
Really?
What?
Oh man. What we need here is an anti-whining ordinance. So why don't you take your scrawny little ass and get the hell out of here? What we need here is an anti-whining ordinance. Oh, I fucking love that. I love that. And we do have a new one. Let's see. Where did I put that? Is it under? Where did I put that? Is it on Saturday? Where did I put it? I'm asking questions. I'm not to myself. You guys don't remember.
Oh. No, I can't remember that.
Wednesday?
I'm just going to go through the shows.
Either Wednesday or the Thursday special, if you had it there.
V matinee. Is it on that one?
What are we looking for?
The latest video I added. I am not seeing it anywhere. Maybe it's under geriatric. Is it in there? Yeah, here it is. Found it.
Horrible and horribly inappropriate jokes you were telling.
Some of us have different ways to deal with sadness, my friend.
And your way is to make fun of a man who's too sick to defend himself?
It's called tough love. Get used to it.
That's the episode when Jimmy James is in a coma. And for some reason, he had left a video that if something happened to him, that he would want to be near all of his dearest friends. And so they move him in a hospital bed with doctors into the kitchen radio station. And he's in the break room. And it's just funny as hell. And when he finally wakes up, he goes, "What the hell am I doing? Shouldn't I be in a hospital?"
Yeah, they totally misunderstood him.
Episode. God,
That's
what a great show. This had some of the snappiest writing. And I always point out that one of my favorite directors, whenever he works on a show as a TV director, you're going to get some funny shit. And I tell people all the time, this guy was attached to Taxi, Cheers, Frasier, and I'm trying to remember his name right now. I have to go into the credits because I'm just having a brain fart for some reason. James Burrows. When you look at him, I mean, I'll click on his name here real quick and just give you a list of some of the shows this guy would direct. Like I said, Taxi, Cheers, Frasier. He even did a few episodes of Will and Grace when it was funny. Back when it was funny. He also directed a few episodes of the new Frasier series. Let's see. Some other funny shit that he's worked on. I like the show. And I don't know why it didn't get more episodes. Superior Donuts was a funny show. He also directed a bunch of episodes of Man with a Plan. And Matthew Perry felt betrayed by NBC when they canceled the show after 3 seasons. And he was mad because they'd made promises to him and they did not fulfill them. Let's see. He directed 50 episodes, I think, of Mike and Molly, which was a very good show. Now, one series I don't think is funny, and he only did a couple episodes, was Two Broke Girls, and I just thought that was a terrible show. Let's see.
Uh-oh, Boosh.
Shit,
What
my
do you
dad
mean?
said. Oh my God.
Oh, that one's fun.
That show with William Shatner, that
I need
was
to go
so
back to
freaking
that.
funny, man.
We just
They only
watched a
got
couple
one season out
episodes.
of that, and I'm like, that's a fun. And this is the problem. I don't think networks understand funny. I really don't. And they don't want to give a show a chance a lot of times. So cancel it because it didn't get the viewership. Well, you didn't promote it correctly. That's usually why. They worked on. Oh my God, he worked on Friends. He did 15 episodes of Friends. That's a show I do find funny, but they make fun of it on this show, News Radio, because it led to that funny moment with Candy when she goes into the break room and she's having her fantasy, and her fantasy is that there are other people of color working at the radio station, and so this black guy sits across from her, and then this Asian guy and this Hispanic walk in, and they're all talking. And then all of a sudden, she's broken from it when a white guy walks in. He goes, "Hey, is it okay if I come in?" She goes, "Sure, come on in, join me." So he sits down to have his lunch, and he says, "Hey, it's okay to come on in." And a bunch of other white people come in there, and they start talking about an episode of Friends, and she's just, his head just drops, like, oh my God. Dharma and Greg, another show I thought was funny. He directed that. Caroline in the City was a funny show. I don't think this show got what it deserved. Veronica's Closet was actually a funny show. Again, the network treated it badly. Men Behaving Badly was funny. I don't know if anybody remembers that show. It was a funny show. It didn't get promoted correctly. Frasier, man, he did a ton of Frasier. He also directed 2 episodes of Third Rock from the Sun, the show that killed News Radio. And let's see, I'm sorry, guys. Hold on a second. Oh, General's yeah, yeah, thank you. So they're buying lunch. Yay. Mad Men of the People was really good. And it seems like he did another show with that guy. That's a favorite actor of mine. And it only got a few episodes. I think they only got half a season. Was with Dabney Coleman. Dabney was a guy that was great comic chops. And was he ever on News Radio? I wonder. Let me go check and see.
I don't know. I'm only halfway through.
He's one of those guys that should have been on there because, man, he can deliver comedy in a way that just nobody could. He takes himself seriously. He's like Leslie Nielsen when he's being funny. He's very serious. And it makes it even more funny because it becomes absurd at a certain point. Nope, he was never on News Radio. That's sad. Because I didn't remember. I know James Caan was on there. And that's one of my favorite episodes where they send James Caan in as himself. He's himself. And he goes in a radio station, and Matthew's freaking out that James Caan is there. And he's a complete idiot, so he forgets his own name because he's so excited and nervous about meeting James Caan. And James Caan is there to tag along with Bill McNeil to learn just the ins and outs of what it's like to work in a radio station. And Bill is, of course, treating it like he needs to understand.
It goes straight to his head.
Ego, pure ego and vanity. And James wants nothing of it. And finally, Matthew is so fucking weird. And he's just watching him and he says, "What is wrong with that guy? Is he okay?" Because Matthew's like screwing things up and breaking shit and blowing stuff up. And finally, James decides, "I want to know what makes that guy tick." And Bill McNeil's like, "But what about me?" What a great episode. And one of the greatest things they created for the show was the, what do they call that? The opening, cold open. The cold open. These cold opens are great on News Radio before you got the credits. Almost every episode had one. And so many of them were ended with Matthew Brock's character falling or doing some pratfall of some kind or some shit. And one of my favorite ones with that one is when Dave walks in and there's a loose golf ball on the floor. And Dave steps on and does an amazing legs up in the air pratfall and gets up and like, oh my God. And he's like holding his back. And he goes, who left this on the floor? You know, and Matthew starts laughing at him. He goes, usually it's me that ends up doing the
He's
stupid
losing
fall.
it,
Now you're the
yeah.
one that looks stupid. You look stupid. And Dave goes, here, Matthew, catch. Throws the ball to him and he goes up over the top of the desk. It's fucking funny. Legs up in the air.
He's always
And some of those
running
pratfalls,
into furniture.
I'm
and shit.
worried that he got hurt. Well, I was always worried he was getting hurt doing some of these pratfalls he did.
Well,
you
he's
know,
usually
and
falling behind the
maybe
desk or out
that's
of
what
the
led to
frame.
his.
And at least once you can see a
Well, I
mattress
always
that
wondered
he's
if that was
falling on.
part of the. I always wondered if that was part of the reason why he ended up having a drug addiction, because that's what happened to Chevy Chase. His drug addiction was all about the pain he was in from doing all those gags, those pratfalls and shit he did on Saturday Night Live and shit. And I tell people all the time, man, you know, it's like, why do you walk with a cane? This little kid asked that like one day, why is he walking with the cane? And I looked at that little kid. I said, because I did a bunch of stupid stuff in sports and in the military that I didn't think I'd have to pay for later. Because I'm an idiot. That's why I'm walking with a cane. So, but News Radio, man, what a great show. And I'm glad we're talking about that show today. I wish that we, and this is something I like to do, we should do watch parties over on Rumble. We should do it. I expect you guys to show up, man. You know, otherwise it's no point in doing it. But I would love to do watch parties, watching News Radio.
I'm pretty sure it would bring us new people too, because people keep showing up thinking we are showing the movie when we're just talking with a slideshow. It keeps
we had
happening.
one person that
comment on that.
like wanted to watch the John Wayne movie. I said, no, it says in the description that this is a discussion about the movie. But I'm glad you came by, and I'm sorry you're disappointed. You know, did you enjoy the discussion at all? But it doesn't happen that often, but occasionally it does when somebody came expecting to get it to watch the movie. But you know, I wanted to do watch parties, and people would show up for it, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that. But we were doing it here in the studio, inviting like 6 people. I think when you go live, I think it's a little better, but you can't do it on YouTube because YouTube is anti-creator, and it does not want you showing anything owned by a studio because they are just studios, man.
A question is, would Rumble be cool with us showing a whole movie or multiple episodes of a show?
Yep. Chris Farley also, yeah, absolutely. Chris Farley, same thing with the injuries. You actually can see him get knocked out in that movie Hollywood Ninja. He ran into the actual 2x4, not the breakaway board, head first. Full force. Knocked himself unconscious. Chevy Chase used to destroy people's wet bars with pratfalls. He'd be fake clumsy and just smash glasses and decanters and bottles. It wasn't just on screen. Yeah, it's crazy shit, man. He's being funny, but he hurt himself. He did damage. He would do things. People like that are always going for the laugh. War Monkey's here. What's up, War Monkey?
Stuff is where I draw the line, Gary.
Well, I'm sure he paid for it later. So here we go. This is what we're talking about today is News Radio. Well, he was an asshole, but not the point. So News Radio, great show. Love the show. And in the 4th season, at the end of the season, you lost 2 of the main characters. You lost Candy Alexander's character and Phil Hartman's character because she left the show and he was, of course, murdered by his wife. All thanks to Andy Dick, by the way. I do blame him. Most people.
Everybody does.
And they're also stupid rich. There you go. The people that he would do that in their house. Like he would actually do stuff like that at the other cast member's house or at Lorne Michaels' house.
Well, even if they paid, it still sucks because somebody needs to clean up and buy new stuff. And just because he was richer than me, he paid. So I don't know. I'm not cool with that kind of stunt. Do it at your own house. Fine.
By the way, there was Bill Maher is somebody who I like and I don't like at the same time. He's because I think he's brilliant in some ways and half a fucking idiot in other ways. And but I didn't find him funny. Is my problem with him. Is he did stand up. A lot of people don't know that he did stand up, and I just didn't think he was funny. He lacked the ability to really, because part of comedy is getting to bringing the audience in. You got to bring them in, and he kept the audience at bay. He was abrasive, which is why his career didn't work. But he ended up doing other stuff, very smartly so. And one of my favorite shows he did was Politically Incorrect. But when he went to it wasn't Grant Tinker, the head of NBC, and he showed up at his house to talk to him about doing a show. And he walked into the guy's house, and this is a true story. And Norm Macdonald was the one who told this the first time I heard about this. He says he shows up in this big head of NBC's house, walking through the foyer, or foyer, as some people say, and just all these Golden Globe and Emmy Awards. And fucking Bill Maher walks up and grabs one of the statues, says, "Who's the golf pro?" And I don't know if anybody else finds it funny. I thought that was fucking hilarious. You know, he was acting like these were all golf awards.
I've never seen a golf award in my life, so I don't really get it.
Golf pros are guys that teach other people how to play golf and sleep with women that they're training or teaching.
Yeah, I know, but I don't
best
know
movie about
what
a
the
golf
trophies
pro
look like. So
is the movie In Cup with Kevin Costner, and it kind of like lets you know that they're usually bottom of the barrel. I'm amazing in complete. I wish we put these up so I could read them. I'm amazing in completing what I began last night, bringing the Zombies trilogy on Disney Plus. It's good, but
binging.
it's up to you. Yeah, is that what he said? Binging.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tin Cup is a great movie. It's one of my favorite sport movies. It's not really about a sport because golf is a game. It can be difficult and it requires skill, but it is not a sport. You don't really do anything athletic.
My dad and my brothers just started to get into golf, and it's so weird. Like every garden party, they bring a golf kit and start playing. I'll never understand that.
I played golf with my brother Steve. My brother Steve played him. I think still does play golf with Alice Cooper.
That's cool.
He's known Alice Cooper since the 70s because he lived not far from my brother in Phoenix. So, but it's a romantic comedy. And you know who stole the show on that one, Bush? Cheech Marin. He was one of the best parts of that movie. I loved him in that. He is a far better actor than people give him credit for. And of course, that's where he met Don Johnson. And Don Johnson and Cheech would go on to do that cop show together, which I think hurt his career.
Johns or Cheech?
Cheech Marin. That's who I was talking about. I said Cheech Marin. But he was one of the best parts of that movie, Tin Cup. And then Don Johnson became friends with him, and they did that Nash Bridges show, which I did not like that show. I thought it was silly. And I got pissed at Johnson because the girl playing his daughter, he started banging her in real life. And I'm like, That's just fucking weird, dude. Don't do that. Be better than that. When
Depends
they
how
bet
much
for
younger
the
she is.
longest, Gary, when they bet for the longest drive, Costner smashes one down the far away fairway. I know what you meant. And smiles. Don Johnson puts one down the road, and it just keeps bouncing. Yeah. Yeah, Cheech was just the best character in that. I think he's his caddy, and also he's his Jiminy Cricket. And because his character needed that, and he falls in love with Renee Russo, and she's just resisting him at every turn. But Costner, when he puts the charm on, and it's so funny from a guy from Southern California. You swear he's from Wyoming the way he talks, or Montana. He has that absolute Midwest twang when he's talking, and it's weird that he does that naturally. And he's
He
from
was very
California.
convincing on Yellowstone too. You totally believed him there.
He's great on Yellowstone.
Yeah.
That was a huge mistake. That fight between him and the showrunner. That was
And
a
then he
huge
goes on and
mistake
makes his
showrunner's
own
part.
Western show. Weird.
Well, movie. It's a movie series, and
Yeah.
I'm already hearing a lot of good things from writer friends of mine, and I'm like, okay, so I'm looking forward to this. But all right, let's get back to news radio because welcome to ADD Theater. Now I'm going to tell you one of my
Squirrel.
favorite and my dad's absolute favorite characters on the show was the sexy little Moxie Vicky Lewis as Beth, the ginger, because Anima knows I have a thing
She is
for
the
gingers.
craziest. Oh yeah.
And
He has a thing with gingers.
she is so fucking funny on that show. Like when she's pretending to do work so she doesn't get in trouble, and she admits it to Dave, just trying to look like I'm busy and not really doing anything. And it's when it's the jumper episode, and John Lovitz is out on the ledge, and he walks in there and he says, "I need a phone." She goes, and she's on the phone. He says, "I need you to call 911." She goes, I can't dial out. The phone's not working. And he goes, "Then why are you doing it?" She goes, "I'm trying to look busy, duh." To the boss. She says that to the boss. So fucking funny. And then Joe, he's like, "Where's Joe at?" So we can fix the phone. And Joe's up in the ceiling and he drops down. And he says, "Well, here, use this." And he hands him a folding phone from the 90s. And Dave opens it and starts trying to dial it, and it's turning on lights and off over on Vicky's desk, Beth's desk. And
something blows up on
she
Matthew's
yells at
desk,
Dave,
too.
"Stop it. You're messing with my trying to look busy." And then Matthew, oh my God, the insanity of that character. He goes over and he tries to grab Matthew's phone. Matthew goes, "I can do it. I can do it." And he starts getting anxious, and he dials and he hands the phone to him, and he says, "Matthew, you dialed 411."
And he totally believes
And he
that's the
goes,
correct
"It's okay.
number.
Don't
It's
worry about it."
insane.
And it's so funny. He says, "Don't worry about it. Hello, operator. Can you connect me with?" And then Matthew goes, "No, I can do this." And he hangs up on the information and and then he just freaks out and runs off. Oh my God, that show is so insane. Oh, the episode where it's all a dream. That's the when the air conditioner's not working.
Oh,
And
that's
at
one
the
of my
end of it,
favorites.
that episode has such a down, sad, somber ending because it ends with Dave working as a construction worker, coming home to Maura Tierney, Lisa, and says, "How was he today?" She goes, "He's just quiet. He's just really staring into that ball for some reason." And when you zoom in on the ball, it's a crystal ball with a news radio station inside and snow going around. That it was all a figment of his imagination, or was it? It's just a great ending because it might have been another fantasy he was having. Wait a minute, what's this, Martin?
I don't know.
The daughter
I don't know
kills
what
him? What are you
you're
talking about? Martin, what are you talking about?
We're talking about a Costner movie, Mr. Brooks. Carl Bush
Oh,
and
my
I
God,
are
that's
talking
a
about that.
great movie. I always
And
hoped that they
Bush,
would finally make a sequel, and they never did.
Bush thinks the whole third act is a dream, and I said no. The only part that is a dream is when she kills him, and he wakes up,
Yeah, that's a
and now
fantasy.
now he's
It's
fucked
a
because
fantasy in
now
his
he's
head while
going
he's
to
sleeping. Yeah.
he's gonna spend his life afraid that his daughter is going to kill him.
He's like Caligula. He's like his insanity is now leaked into his life with his daughter because he knows that she's a killer just like him. And they had intended to do another film. They've tried and they almost ramped up to do it, and it just didn't happen. I think part of the problem is getting Demi Moore back was part of the problem. I was so happy they killed Dane Cook by the end of the film. I'm like, thank you, that guy cannot act.
The sequel should have been father and daughter in a killing spree.
That's what they were gonna do. It was somewhere in that ballpark. And that eventually he would take her under his wing to teach her how to not get caught. So
That's what
we
would
need
have
to
been.
do that. It's not a horror film. It's a thriller. And
No.
I absolutely would like Anima to watch that with me. Because his performance in there. And and John Hurt died. Or William Hurt, I'm sorry. William Hurt died. And he was his dark passenger. He was the other aspect of his personality. And he was great. He was dark and so sinister in that role. You need to kill him. I am not going to kill him. Costner would be arguing with himself, not doing that. Just if you've never seen this movie, people, watch that movie. Mr. Brooks. Mr. Brooks. Well, Kevin Costner. I consider it one of his top 5 films of all time. And I don't include the movie Wyatt Earp. I really didn't like that movie. I didn't think it was all that great. I think Tombstone did a better job. I loved his movie Tin Cup. I love Open Range. I love Mr. Brooks. And I'm trying to remember the other two. God, there's 200 films I just can't pop
Waterworld
right now.
Untouchables.
Untouchables is just an amazing fucking movie.
Yes, it is.
Nowhere near the truth, but I don't care. I fucking love that movie. He never threw Nitty off the roof of the Chicago police station. Never happened. Nitty took over for Al Capone when Al Capone got sent to prison and eventually died from syphilis. It went to his brain, and he just sat in.
That's a nasty way to die.
The Bodyguard. I gotta tell you, I like that fucking movie.
We have that on our watch list, Gary.
Fuck you, dude. I'm like, fuck you. That is a good film. And Whitney Houston, I'm not a big fan of Whitney Houston, but I loved her voice on that, and I loved her performance in it. She was very good in that film. And I was shocked by who was the real villain.
Yeah, right.
When you find out, I was like, oh man, didn't see that coming. And I'm a writer. I can usually spot those things, and I'm like, oh, I need to remember that. That's a good twist there. Good plot twist. And plots aren't important. You can tell a story without a plot. But when you use a plot correctly, like they did in that one, I liked it. I do too. I really like that film. Dane Cook has done only one movie I liked him in, and it's a romantic comedy. I can't remember what the hell it is. Just offhand, I've forgotten. And but there's a comedy he did. I think it was. Oh my God! Now I got to look it up because it's going to drive me crazy. And I'm going to tell you something. I know he's guilty of joke theft, but I really did find 2 of his stand-up specials pretty funny. When he jumps up on that stool on his first one and does the alien, I was like, that's funny. The way he contorted his body. Oh, Employee of the Month. I fucking love that movie. That was a really funny movie. Good Luck Chuck was actually funny. I did not like My Best Friend's Girl as much, but it was funny. He's great in Waiting. I think Ryan Reynolds makes that movie. He really does. And when that one girl finally like flashes everybody because she's avoided flashing people the whole movie, and she lifts her dress up, and Ryan Reynolds goes, "Oh my God, it's so angry." It's like, what? If you've never seen Waiting, if you've ever worked in the food services industry, watch that fucking movie. It absolutely gets everything right.
Okay.
So he drops a piece of food. He goes, "Oh man." He says, 3-second rule. I thought for a second there I was going to have to do the 5-second rule. I frowned on that shit because I was a short order cook in restaurants, and I worked the grill in a lot of restaurants. I love cooking, and I worked for Shoney's. First job, real job I had outside my newspaper route was working for Shoney's as a short order cook. And oh my God, so many Jewish people on I-95 going from New York to Florida and Florida back to New York. So we were constantly making liver and onions. And I used to love liver and onions as a kid, and I can't eat it to this day because of cooking it so much. And because like after you wipe your hand off on your apron, and you wear that apron all day, so it's got that constant odor of liver and onions on it.
That'll ruin it for you.
It's in my skin. It was in my skin, and I'm like washing and scrubbing, trying to get that. Oh man. And so when I watched Waiting, I'm like, that clearly whoever wrote this worked in the food service industry, because there's too many inside jokes in this fucking movie. And Ryan Reynolds said that really turned him around on his career, because all people knew him for at that point was Two Guys, a Girl, also known as Two Guys, a Girl in a Pizza Place.
Yes, the original title.
Yep, and it's a good show. Nathan Fillion got his start
Yes,
on
it
that
is.
And let me tell you, man, Dane Cook is actually really good in this movie, and I absolutely want to watch this with Anima. Dan in real life, because I identified with that character raising a little girl, because he's stuck raising his daughters in the movie. And I identify with his character and being the guy that's not so cool, like his brother Dane can get any girl, Dane's the hot shot, loud talking guy that gets girls, but then he falls in love with this French woman, and come to find out that's Dane Cook's new girlfriend, and she's falling in love with him. So it creates this great comedy because they all come together in his house to spend time together, and it's like, oh shit. And he's good in Mr. Brooks, but he's good in a way that when he gets killed, you actually are like, thank you for killing him. He's such an asshole in that movie.
Yes, he's insufferable.
I felt like he played himself. He's insufferable, and it felt like he was himself, because that's what I imagine Dane Cook is like in real life. Just in my head, that's what I think. So in many ways, Dane Cook doesn't exist anymore because Mr. Brooks murdered him. And so I don't watch anything with Dane Cook live anymore. Call me weird.
We all know you are.
So before we get back over there, I did want to do this real quick. Martin, did you already open the song?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what it is. I wrote this song and I recorded it with me. And the problem is on this new album I put together, I have a whole album I haven't released, because for the first time in my life, I wrote beyond my vocal abilities, because I wanted to write don't play it yet though. Because I was running to write these things about complicated themes, dealing with my daughter growing up, dealing with divorce, dealing with heartbreak over bad things happen, people dying. I even wrote a song about my dad losing his mind. It's in there. I just have all these things, and this song is the only love song I've ever written. And I felt it was important, because even though when I originally wrote some of the lyrics to it, I wasn't in a relationship with anybody. I was writing about how I feel about falling in love. That's what the song's about, and but I couldn't sing it. I didn't sound too bad on the live recording. And you've heard that, Anima, when I performed it on that with just me and the piano. But that's because I could sing on that lower register because I was playing lower. But when I play the song for the studio recording, it just was higher, and I was like, it's written in D, and I couldn't sing the lyrics. I just can't sing that kind of lyrics. It's too complicated for me, and it needs to go up when I can't go up. I'm very limited. I'm very limited range. So what I did is I went in and I did the vocals, and I used auto-tune to fix my vocals, but then it sounded all low and robot-y, and it was weird. And I'm like, nope, not ever going to play that for anybody. So I sent it over, and I had an AI recreate it with somebody else's voice to match what I was doing. And so here you go. Here's the song that I would like to record with a real vocalist. I've been trying to find a vocalist for a long time, but most vocalists can understand some stuff I write, but they have trouble with some of the syncopation I use. I've talked to other musicians that understand my frustration, that everybody wants to sing on the beat. And some of my lyrics is in between the beats. It's syncopated. And they want to sing on the count. Well, and it's like, stop doing that. It sounds weird. But this one, it works because this one is your more traditional type song. So go ahead, Martin.
Tell me that you think your heart is your only. You can say what you want from the top of your walls. You can wear a mask and act just like a phony, but you know you're headed for a fall. I will catch you when you fall. I will catch you when you fall. I will be there when it all comes down. I will catch you when you fall. Like a flood of blood that flows through my emotions and cuts a valley through my soul. The dream of giving you all of my devotion, I took my leave long ago. I will catch you when you fall. I will catch you when you fall. I will be there when it all comes down. I will catch you when you fall. Like a flood of blood that flows through my emotions, that cuts a valley through my soul. The dream of giving you all of my devotion, I took my leave long ago. I will catch you when you fall. I will catch you when you fall. you fall. I will catch you when you fall. I will catch you when you fall. I will catch you when you fall. I will be there when it all comes down. I will catch you when you fall.
Thanks, Martin.
You're welcome.
So, what did you think?
It's a long story, but when I'm streaming, I have no audio of what is happening. So I always have to go and watch the shorts after the show.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Is that because of your Wi-Fi?
What did you guys think of it? Oh, man.
You need to get a singer for this because I don't like the AI voice, obviously. But other than that, I like it.
Well, you're actually in the second verse. Most of that song's about me, just talking about me. I'm the one wearing the mask. I'm the one hiding from things. And but when I met you, I was able to finish the song and finish the lyrics. And so there you go. And I think it still sounds good even with the thing, but I can tell it's an AI voice. I have a friend who I want to do this. He's not responded to me, and he's one of those people that he can't sing all of my music. He can't, but he could sing this song because he's one of those singers that sings on the note. And he tried to do "Building on a Silence," and just that song, the lyrics is so
Difficult.
syncopated. You can't perform it like a
Yeah.
straightforward rock song. It's because I grew up on black music. It's so funny because I lived with Kennard, a black guy, for years, and he listened to straight up rock and roll, and I'm in my room listening to Earth, Wind and Fire, Parliament, shit like that, because I'm listening to the drumming is what I'm really listening to. I love those riffs that they would play. And my favorite drummers, except for Stuart Copeland and Phil Collins, were all black because they played drums in a way that I wanted to play drums. I wanted to hit those certain foot beats, on the bass drum. I didn't care about the speed drumming. What was important was being able to get those grace notes in. The boom, 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 boom. And I learned to do that because my buddy Anthony Jones, another drummer buddy of mine I grew up with, told me put a brick on my foot when I'm playing drums and do that for a little bit and then take the brick off and watch how fast you are. And I could get those extra grace notes in with my bass drum, thanks to Anthony teaching me how to do it.
Musicians do weird shit to train to do things or not do things. You know what my mom told me to do when I played the guitar? And my problem was that I was pressing my thumb against the neck of my guitar way too strongly. So it made moving my hand fast difficult. And she said she had the same problem playing the cello when she was a teenager. And her mom, or was it her teacher? I don't remember. They took a thumbtack and put it on her thumb. So that whenever she would press too hard, it would go in her thumb. That teaches you quickly. And that shit works.
Yeah,
but
pain.
It works.
Pain.
That totally works.
Let's see, Bush. I want to get back to this real quick before talking about music in the show some more. Let me read this. I've led restaurants, but not on a high level. People trusted me to do what I do, if you know what I mean. I was and still am very passionate about cooking. My grandma, taught me how. Also, I don't live in a major city. My experience is mostly old-fashioned Southern cooking, which is great stuff, man. I've been a sous chef 3 different times. I turned down executive chef once because I didn't think I was up to par. You got to have more confidence in yourself, Cal. You got to get out there. If you love cooking, that's what you should be doing.
Yep.
I wanted to be. I was studying under a chef, and but he wanted me to be under it, and it led to an incident at work. I was working at a restaurant that's still in Fredericksburg, Virginia to this day. I showed it to Anima. It's right there, called La Petite Auberge. It's a French restaurant, and I was studying under him, and he got a little handsy with me after hours, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, no, sorry, buddy. As much as I joke about it, I do not swing that way. Thanks, though." And I thought I think he thought I was going to punch him, and I'm like, "I'm not going to get violent with you. Just don't do that. Don't grab me." I'm very about respecting space with people. Oh my God, the mandolin. I love the mandolin. I love that as an instrument. I got to be honest, I even like the ukulele. My daughter was playing ukulele once, and I'm like, "Oh, I love the way that sounds." Now, Zoe said she was going to try to sing. She said she was going to sing. She was going to sing my music, but something happened to her, and she lost that drive. And I always feel like I failed somewhere with her because she has an amazing singing voice. And I thought it would be interesting, even though everything I write is from a male perspective. I thought it was interesting when Brie sang "All Is Lost." It's a beautiful rendition of the song. People prefer my version, very limited vocals, but hers is the prettier one. And hers was recorded. The version we
did
with her
didn't fail though, Gary.
was done.
People change.
That one was done in a professional recording studio. And but when you listen to it, it's really hard to tell the difference between my instruments and the recording studio instruments because I know how to record my instruments when I'm playing them. Kitchens can absolutely get rough. I threatened a guy. Like, seriously, this happened once. This guy was trying to fuck with me. And I turned to him and, I don't take shit off people. And there was a butcher knife on my side of the kitchen that somebody had accidentally put it in the knife holder and pulled it wrong. And it snapped the end off the butcher knife and left a curved hook on the end of it. And I pulled it out and I said, "I'm 10 seconds from showing you what this little hook is for. Say it again." And the guy backed down. I told him, I said, "I'm not fucking around, dude. Stop fucking with me." He goes, "Man, I'm just..." I said, I'm not your friend. And only I allow friends to fuck with me. I look at you fuck with me as you trying to fuck with me. I never did like him. I just couldn't get along with him. I was glad when I left there because when Jim Woodward and Mike Beatty went to work for McDonald's, I quit that restaurant and went to work the grill at McDonald's, and I enjoyed it. Because I got to hang out with my two best friends working together. Got electrocuted. Mike Beatty saved me. And I've been in fights because people don't know how to cook. That's interesting. Like, couldn't take the criticism about their cooking? Is that what you mean?
Well, he maybe they were working under Cal and fucking it up all the
Didn't like his criticism.
the food.
Same thing.
Ah,
You put
see?
too much pressure on your thumb in strumming? Is it in the strumming that you're talking about with the
No,
thumb?
the left hand. You press your thumb too firmly
what's
against the
going on
neck
with
of the
the left
guitar. It makes moving difficult. It makes you slow. You should, and also.
And I told you I
thumbs when you play
can't
longer.
play. I could play a little bass, but I could not play guitar. And I told you why, right?
I don't
Because you were a
remember.
drummer.
I had a fracture on
Sheet
this
music.
arm.
That must have been the problem.
And it leaves these two fingers incapable of I can't press down with these two fingers. I can play piano with them, but I can't hold down strings with this hand because I tried to learn guitar. And I discovered from the damage it was done to my arm after I broke it. So these fingers are useless on a guitar. So I got stuck playing keyboards. I did a little bass, But now I can do bass on my keyboard, especially the Roland. When I had that one, that $5,000 keyboard, I was able to, like, it played real instruments in it. Not it was analog. It wasn't synth. And yes, they kept fucking up. They thought they were hot shit. Yeah, ego is another thing in kitchen that I couldn't gig. I like keeping things very zen, and that's why working in a kitchen just wasn't meant for me, because I have to constantly be in zen when people are yelling. Like I remember my boss. She wasn't even yelling at me one day. She just came in ranting. Lisa and Allie, we're still friends. She came in ranting one day, just going off about something. And she was yelling in my presence. And I'm sitting there listening to her. And I'm so tense. My anxiety levels were going up. And when she finally calmed down and said something to me, and I said, I'm just going to let you know that rant of yours just now shut me down for at least an hour. I don't know when I'm going to fucking relax and be able to do creation and get back to work. And I told her, you got to work on that. It's like, punch a bag, punch your husband, do something. Don't come in yelling like that, especially when you have a creative department. I play guitar. I took my skills from marching, concert, and jazz band. That's interesting. I didn't do concert, but I did marching and I did jazz band. And I learned to play organically as a drummer because of jazz band. I'm teaching myself to play guitar. Guitar is awesome. I find it funny, though, that
teaching
when I'm in a
yourself
band,
can really fuck you up.
Well, you don't learn theory. That's why it's important to take theory.
No, it's not just that. It's correct posture, things like that. You can get so used to doing it wrong that you're making it difficult for yourself.
Oh, well, it's like typing, because I look at the keyboard when I type. I never took typing. No, I get what you're saying. I do my fingering, but I've also watched other pianists, and I learned certain fingering from them on the keyboard. And I learned how to do spreads. I learned how to do grace notes correctly. So I play with my right hand. I play better. My left hand, I do what's referred to as blocked chords or triads, because my left hand is it's got fucking problems because of these two fingers. It's not adroit. It's just there's not a lot of dexterity with playing on the left hand. My right hand is where all my real playing takes place on piano. And what you say, I play by ear. People like my playing. They say I play 3-1-1 band just like the record. That's awesome.
I've met people who play like that. They listen to a song a couple times and then they play it. It's awesome. But I'm classically trained, so.
Where I want to get back just for a second on what I do. I consider myself a good songwriter. What I think my strength is as a lyricist. I think that I'm a very good writer. I always feel happier when I'm writing. And I will finish something like that song. I got emotional listening to it when I finished recording and ran it through the processor the first time for doing the automatic engineering that I plug in my filters. When I listened to it for the first time all the way through, I got really emotional because that song hit an emotional chord for me, because I was in a very emotional place when I wrote it. And it's sort of like building on a silence. I can't perform that live. I've tried, and I get emotional when I'm doing it because I know what every single word means, what it represents. And it's about my daughter being kidnapped. And she knows too. And that's why I loved it. I would catch her walking around the house singing that song. And she sang it so much better than me, because I almost spoken word. She's singing. I'm like, why would God make me a person that wants to write lyrics and not give me a voice? I'm like, God's kind of a dick. He can be very dickish in his own ways. Make me become more dependent on other people. I think that's why. Because I tend to want to just rely on myself, and force me to be reliant on other people. So, but going back to news radio, let's get back to this, because that's what I just said. Teach me to work with other people when I don't want to. That's what it taught me. I was telling you what it taught me. That being self-reliant get me only so far. I think one of the saddest episodes of this show was Bill Moves On. It was season 5, episode 1. It was hard for people because it led to a confrontation when Max joined the cast, John Lovitz. And Andy Dick got shitty with him during a scene and says, you don't belong here, is what he said. You don't belong here. And John Lovitz turned to him and said, I wouldn't be here if you hadn't killed Phil. And Andy Dick left the set. And because he didn't want to accept the responsibility of what he did. That Bryn had been clean and sober for years. And Phil threw a rap party at the house. And Andy Dick pushed her. Somebody with an addiction problem pushed her until she finally caved in, did some cocaine with him, started drinking, and she started cycling, going back into the destructive cycle. And it led to her going on a binge, and that's when she pulled the trigger. And when she came home, started sobering up and saw what she did, she had the kids with her, and family has hinted that she was considering doing something to them. And they fled the house. They ran out, and they have video footage of them running out of the house to the cops. And then you hear the shot. And she laid down next to Phil and did what she did. And so many people say this, and it's true. If you want to be self-destructive, then hurt yourself. Don't hurt other people.
It's in the word.
And that's what she did. Yeah. So the show was kind of in a death spiral, but not because of Bill's not being on the show, Phil Hartman. I think it was a mixture of him dying and Candy leaving the show because they did not know how to write her character to make it satisfying for her. And I get it. But without her, the show began to limp a little bit. Amazingly, it held on to its numbers and still was beating everything else on NBC as far as viewership for comedies. It was kicking the shit out of Third Rock from the Sun. But because it was the 5th year, new contracts had to be negotiated. They chose not to continue the series any longer. So it ended up they canceled the show. But we get 4 solid seasons with the characters that we all love. And then a bonus season with John Lovitz that don't get me wrong, I think Lovitz can be funny, but what's funny with him is when he's with Phil Hartman, because they were best friends in real life. And they really were best friends. They spent time together, their families vacation together, all that shit. And and so many funny stories. One of my favorite stories with Phil Hartman is when they're golfing one day. It was him, the blonde kid from Saturday Night Live, was part of Mike Myers' partner in the movie and on Saturday Night Live. I'm not worthy.
Oh,
Dana Carvey.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dana Carvey, John Lovitz, and Phil were out golfing, and suddenly there's fucking Jack Nicholson, and so they're sitting there and they're catching up to him, and finally they catch up to him, and Phil walks up to him because everybody else is nervous because he's such a big star, and John Lovitz walks right up to him doing typical John Lovitz. My friend Phil here did your voice in one of your movies. And Phil's like, let me explain. You did the movie The Border, and you were already contracted to go work on another film. And I can't remember what it was 2 Jakes or something like that. You were contracted to go work on that. And so they couldn't get you back in the studio to do some ADR. So the studio started reaching out. The director started reaching out to actors who are good at impersonations. And I auditioned and I passed the test. And I went and did that one scene where you come out of the shoe store and you thank the 2 characters for being so helpful to you. And Nicholson, without missing a beat, goes, that's why the film didn't do well. And Phil just up, and when he tells that story, it's so fucking funny because it just like really put him in his place, while at the same time endeared him to Nicholson. Yeah, Dana Carvey. Candy's a dope actress. I agree, but I don't know what is it. There's something up with her, because a lot of people don't know this. She was actually a dancer.
You can tell by the way she moves.
She was a choreographer for other artists. She worked with, I think she worked with even Janet Jackson at one point. And but she was also a very good actress. And she ended up going on to the show NCIS Miami. Is that what it? Or
No.
CSI Miami. It was CSI Miami, whatever that show was. One that takes place in Florida with the guy that takes off his glasses all the time.
Must be CSI.
CSI. No,
she was only on there.
CSI, yeah.
CSI Miami. So she only lasted again for a short period before she quit. She wasn't fired. She left. I think she just gets antsy. I think that's part of the problem. She gets antsy and just, I got to go. I got to go do something else. So she went back to doing stage work and dancing work. Although she was just recently on a series, and I think she's still on the show. I forget what it is. Let me go look it up real quick. Only this thing would react. Andy Alexander, where are you? God, she is gorgeous. Scandal was one of the shows she was just working on. She worked on that one. She worked on Treem too. If you've never seen that one, really good show.
Nope.
And now she is on What We Do in the Shadows, but I don't know if we're going to get any more seasons from that, sadly. But she
Are we
joined
caught
that
up
show.
with that one?
No,
I
I
thought we
am.
weren't.
You are not.
Yeah. There's too much for me to watch.
She was
to
also
get-
on. She was a narrator in one episode of SEAL Team. She played Ambassador Nicole Marston. Not the narrator. She was the ambassador.
That's
You
another
remember that
one we should
episode.
get back soon. SEAL Team.
It's going to be their final season too, from the sounds of it.
Yeah, but when are
Best
we
thing
getting
that
it?
happened to Paramount, and they're going to cancel the show. End it.
Yeah, stupid. So stupid. All the good stuff gets cancelled. It's annoying and frustrating.
What are we talking about? Oh, it's your niece's graduation. That's fantastic. Thanks, Bush. I opened Twitter and had some notifications.
Yeah, my stuff almost crashed when I tried to open it to see what he was sending me. So I closed it again.
What We Do in the Shadows, we're probably going to do on here because I really do get a kick out of the show. I don't like Taika Waititi, but I admit it. He created the film is okay. The series is great.
That needs to be a Friday show. Absolutely. That and Ghosts.
Because he's not the showrunner on the show. So that's why the show, I think, works better than his film. Because it was shot sort of like the Community, not Community, sorry, Parks and Rec and The Office, where it's like a documentary. It's a documentary team filming them. And that kind of was funny. But the movie just, it lacked the comedy that the series has. And I love the cast on the series.
You will have fun, King Spot Cal. You will love it.
And it's got great writing. To me, everything it really falls down to the writing. And again, with News Radio, amazing writing. And as good as it was, I felt like they fell short with Catherine's character. Because they never really gave her anything really good to do. I mean, really, to be honest with you, other than her final episode, where she does what she does, the best episode with her is where she starts fucking with Bill McNeil, doing the commercial for that beer company.
That's a fun one.
It's meant to be It's meant to sound like Colt 45. That's what it's supposed to be. Rocket fuel. Damn. Damn. And so he's trying to do a black voice when he's doing it, and she gets aggravated by it, and then just starts fucking with him, going, "Look, if you want to sound street, you're saying it all wrong. You got to say gazappa when you which means what's up, gazappa."
It's not
Which had a
just that.
callback later in News Radio in Outer Space episode.
I love that
because
episode.
they say that to each other.
Beyond
Yeah.
crazy. But
And,
it wasn't just the black thing that annoyed her. It was also he was advertising a product that he didn't even know because he never tried it. So she challenges
Yeah,
him.
I thought you
and
only
she makes him
promote.
drunk.
So she goes and gets him fucked up on the show, and he's drunk doing the show. Oh my god, it's hilarious!
She just pretends
One of my
she's
favorite
drinking,
episodes.
pouring it over her shoulder in the kitchen, and he gets
But
drunk. And this
not
stuff is
only was
awesome.
it
It's
one
awful.
of her best episodes, it really was one of my favorite episodes of the series.
Absolutely.
That one, and I love the Christmas episode where Bill gets Beth to work with him doing a voice for a commercial because he wants to do this commercial. It's a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
And then they get to the radio station. They're doing it, and they love Beth, but they don't think Bill's quite the guy. And so he's like, "What? I'm not right."
Yeah, and he's a narcissist, so he thinks he is getting Beth on there, but she's the one they want, and he just
Yeah, because he's criticizing the shit out of her. He's like,
Yeah.
"You need to do. You're doing that a bit." And they're like, "Hey, that's because he criticizes one of the things she does where she improvises. Really, you shouldn't do that." And then the director goes, "Hey, that little thing you improvised there, we really like that one. Keep that one in there." Anything he said was proven wrong. And that's the great thing about his character. He's like just so full of shit.
Well, he's a narcissist, and
God, I love
still
that show.
you like him. That's how well he is written. He's an annoying piece of shit, basically, but you still like him because he has his good sides too.
And you know what's even funnier is they shot that in the right window with Dave Foley, because Dave Foley, for just a brief period of time there, still looked like a kid. But by the time 2000 came, the year after they got canceled, he started to age, and he aged.
Oh
quickly.
yeah, he's one of
You
the
could
people
see
who
the
age
difference
late
with
but
him.
rapidly.
Like in the movie Monkey Bone, he looked like a different person. He had gained a little weight, and he's starting to age. Usually when you gain weight, it makes you look younger. Not with him for some reason. But they've had talks many a time about doing a reunion thing, but it's never going to happen. They had a kind of semi-reunion where they just got together. But Andy Dick is just in and out of jail. He's got too many problems.
Yeah, he would.
And some of them
ruin
have just simply aged to the point where they just don't look good on camera anymore.
And they've moved on.
I'm talking to you, Dave Foley.
It's been more than 20 years. They've moved on. They don't need to do a reunion.
Just in case if you didn't hear it because somebody stepped up a joke, I said, I'm talking to you, Dave Foley. Because he's aged a lot. I just said something about getting old. Some of them gotten a little old, don't look so good on camera. And I started saying, and I'm talking to you, Dave Foley, and then you started talking. So anyway, that's the trick, Animal Confucius, to be an asshole, but have people like you. I mean, I pulled it off somehow because some people like me. Not everybody, but some people like me. Jason Pankoke. I told him, I said, I will die before you. So you have to make sure that epitaph is on my tombstone. And he came up with it, and he says, Gary was a kind and loving bastard. Because I love backhand compliments. I just love complimenting people. Like the other night I said something nice to Kitty. I said, yeah, I love your comedy if you're into that. You're into that. So had a good meeting. And by the way, I'll go ahead and let you guys know that Flip City is very interested in me in several things, from being a creator for them as an artist, to even potentially doing a show for Flip City, where I will get on there and just probably do an hour show talking about stuff, being funny, making fun of people.
That's what you do best.
I'm almost caught up with work. Thank you. That's good. But anything else we want to talk about with News Radio? Oh, we got to talk about Jimmy James. One of the best ones he ever did was when they publish his book in Japanese, translated to Japanese, and then it becomes a bestseller, and then they retranslate it back from Japanese.
Have I seen that one yet? That doesn't ring a bell.
That's one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen. Jimmy James book readings, where he begins to read the book reading. And we're going to get claimed for this later. But I feel like we should show just a little bit of this. Let me find it here. It's a minute and 52.
What episode is that?
There we go. Copy. Here we go, Martin. I'm giving you the link. The name of the episode is Super Karate Monkey Death Car. It's season 4, episode 4. So we're getting ready to watch.
Oh, I'm not there yet. I'm 2 episodes into
almost there.
Season 4.
Yep, we're getting there. We'll probably watch it today. So there you go, Martin. That's that clip. I don't know if we'll get claimed for this or not because I don't know how it's recorded. But you can do the pausing if you want to. Can you do the full screen or will it not let you?
Believe me, it's better this way.
Okay.
Glorious sunset of my heart was fading. Soon the Super Karate Monkey Death Car would park in my space. But Jimmy has fancy plans and pants to match. The monkey clown horrible karate, round and yummy, like a cute small baby chick would beat the donkey.
Okay, pause.
We'll now answer any questions.
Just wrap it up there. Just like pause for a second. This is so fucking funny because he'd not read it since they translated it back to English from Japanese. So he's up there doing a raw reading, and it's insanity. Nothing makes sense. Super Karate Death Car. Okay.
It's like they use Google Translate both ways.
Do I hit play?
I said hit play.
You?
Yeah, Mr. James. What did you mean when you wrote bad clown making like super American car racers? I would make them sweat. War.
Well, you know what it's like when a clown is making like a car
Let me know when.
racer. It's sort of like the FCC. It's sort of now the clown is like the FCC, and I was opposed to the FCC at the time, right? So it was like I was declaring war.
There you
War.
War. That's the end. Don't show anymore. That episode is so fucking good. Solid writing all the way to the end, man. So that's that one guy, the dude that asked the question. Oh yeah, Michael Posehn. He's hilarious, dude. I love him. Whenever I see him, he's on another show that I've got Anima watching with me called Just Shoot Me.
I love
David
that
Spade.
one.
Oh,
And he ends up working in the office and becomes friends with David Spade's character because he's a nerd. And oh my God, he is just so ridiculous on that show. Because they're trying to give him self-confidence, and his self-confidence eventually makes it just fucking impossible to deal with him when he gets it. It's just like, what the fuck, dude? Spade is good in anything. Like, I also got Anima watching another show with David Spade that I really loved. I wish they had never canceled. Was Rules of Engagement. What a cast! Every time Spade got onto a show, man, he would have a great cast to work with. And my God, that show was funny as hell. And then of course, the Just Shoot Me, another great show. And what really sucks is the final season, the episodes are out of order. So the ending is weird to the show. If you watch the final season, the last 3 episodes are just off. And I wish they'd done a better job, because the actual final episode was earlier in the season, played like 3 or 4 episodes before the actual end of the season or series. And then they came back and did like more episodes. It's like, what? But you just ended the show.
Makes watching it a bit difficult.
Yeah. Well, I watch it in the right order. I also did that with Star Trek. If I watch Star Trek,
because you know the right order.
The original shooting order. And News Radio absolutely was put in the right order, because the showrunners paid attention to audience reaction.
I think there was one hiccup. There was one hiccup when they put an episode a season early, but that was just that one.
I don't remember.
And you caught that a couple of minutes into the episode where, wait, no. I think that's in the second season. They have an episode from season 3 in there.
I don't.
It wasn't a biggie. It was just that one, and on F movies probably.
But News Radio is one of the best comedies ever written. I put it right up there with Frasier, up there with Cheers and Taxi. And I think that the director who inspired a lot of the writing, especially in the first season, really helped guide them, James Burrows. What a great director he is. And he knows good comedy.
Oh, those are shows we need to do too.
I want to go finish. I like to go finish after we do this. Go finish Shit My Dad Said, because I love that show. Shatner was great in that. I love that show. So, but there we go. Let's wrap this up. We can wrap it up, guys. I want to thank Kingsport Cal, D. Bud Martin, Tree Rock Creations, Dragon Ruse, Penny, Sentai, Danger Donnie, Railway Nation, Deborah Cohen, War Monkey, and of course our dear friend Boosh.
And everybody watching us on Twitter or Rumble. You don't like to chat with us so much, but we know you're there.
Thanks a lot, guys. All right, we are going to wrap it up here and get going. I want to watch some more News Radio, and I want to watch some Shit My Dad Said, because that show reminds me of my dad, so, in a funny way. So that's it, guys. But do remember this. Hey, guys, don't forget to click that like, subscribe, and notification button. We appreciate you watching the show. Now, back to it. Hey, Dragon Ruse.
Don't miss Tom and Gary tomorrow.
The Three Amigos. And we're going to have Victor Rose, the assistant director, on the